What's going on, guys, and welcome to the squad tutorial. No, this isn't some newfangled tutorial. This is the actual tutorial. It occurred to me that some people may not want to play the tutorial and just watch a video, and that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So you can't see my mouse cursor, but up at the top here we have server browser, custom browser, training. Under training, we can go to the infantry tutorial. Just a quick
regional training center where you'll conduct your workout before you deploy.
shout out.
You've already been through basic, but since you likely forgot already, we're going to cover the fundamentals. Your compass at the bottom of your display is essential to figuring out which way you're going. Orders from your squad and fire team leaders will also appear here. Now head northwest towards the obstacle course.
Just a quick shout out to those guys there. So the compass on the bottom, which I'm currently blocking and can't get out of the way of, is what you're going to use to navigate most of the game. Now, this call out at the bottom, that should only be used in local chat. Don't use that in squad chat or command chat, because that doesn't really make much sense. My 106 is not your 106. So just like any other shooter, ASDW to move, shift to sprint, space to jump. Now this is where it gets a little different, is that you're going to use control, the left control, to crouch, and you're going to use Z to go prone. Basic movement stuff.
Let's see what you're made of. Get your ass to this obstacle course. Pick up the pace. Get over to that next obstacle. Double time. Up and over and through the tunnel. Up and over the obstacle. Jump up to reach the top and pull yourself over.
So another fun fact about this game, or I guess a little trick that we can teach you right here, is that while there is a climb like this, if you smash the space bar at certain height objects, you can turn that climb into a mantle. I can't seem to get it to work. It works a lot better in game. There we go. You got to come at it at a little bit of an angle, but this is going to help you get over obstacles a whole lot faster. So if I just run at it and approach and not get stuck in the barbed wire, little hop, turn to the side, you can mantle it or climb it
your fellow knucklehead over there to help you over this wall.
much faster. So once again, this is the climb or the vault. Well, we'll call that the climb. This is the vault. And if you have the right angle, the right skill, and you mash the spacebar fast enough, oops, that was a climb. Trying to turn it to a vault. Climb again. Climb again. It takes some time, but it is doable, and it's going to save you a lot of time speed crossing. Just one quick thing I wanted to point out. This tutorial is great. I'm glad they added it. When I started playing the game, there was no tutorial, and this tutorial isn't going to cover the basics in squad. I mean, it's going to cover most things, but not really the small things you really need to know. Fun fact about this game, you can climb on top of other players, and you are stable up here now. You used to not be too stable. You used to bounce around. Now you can actually use your other partner or someone who's crouched down as a table for a bipod, or just help getting over the wall. So if you ever see me stream squad and you ever hear me mash the space bar, it's because I'm trying to turn a climb into a mantle. I just want to point out, none of this is scripted. This is just kind of all off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm going to forget some bits, but if you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. And it's about to get loud, by the way. I am Speed.
moving! How are you gonna react when you're in this situation for real? Keep moving! I am absolutely astonished you're not dead. Get yourself geared up and get to the next station.
So, bandaging, of course. Doesn't look like... Nope. It's going to force me to pick it up.
Your next period of instruction will be about field dressing.
And it's just going to appear in my hand.
Field dressing is critical for stopping
Well,
all
I wanted to tell you the
trauma.
button. I believe
Not
it's
only can you
3.
use it on yourself, but to also stabilize other wounds in the field, as you will see in the next station.
Now, you can bandage yourself, of course. You know you're bleeding because you have that flashing red around your screen. Standard
Field
shooter
dressing on a
stuff.
seemingly incapacitated
You
man
can
on the
also
ground.
bandage someone else. Just a quick tip here, if you play as the medic class, you revive in half the time. I believe it's 14 seconds for a regular infantry, and it's 7 seconds for a medic. Now, and that's in the revive, not in the bandaging. You do use a bandage to revive, but you know, the difference is one is just hurt and the other one is dead.
This is an example of some of the ways you can be deployed in the field. The rally point is only for you and your squad, while the big bunker-looking structure is a HAB. HABs are meant for your entire team and are found only on forward operating bases or FOBs. In both circumstances, you will need to rearm your weapons from any nearby sources before moving out.
So just to expand upon this rally right here can be burned by the enemy, but only your squad can spawn in it. This is a HAB, or habitat, and this is a bunker that needs to be placed within a radio's radius, or a FOB's radius. When you put down a radio, this is a radio, it creates a FOB, which is a area on the map in which structures can be built, like this, a HAB. A HAB is a team spawn. Usually after you spawn here, if there is ammo, you do want to rearm off an ammo crate, which is this here. Now, I know, some of these things are pretty easy so far, but the things do get a little bit more complex. So, Staff Sergeant Borf here has a good comment. Make sure your microphone is good to go. You will play your first or second game with a messed up microphone, and that's okay, and there's ways to fix it. Just off the top of my head, the first way to fix it is to go into your Windows settings and make sure your microphone is set as your default communication device. This can mess up quite often if you plug and unplug a camera, if you have multiple microphones, if you plug and unplug your actual microphone, it will change the default communication device.
Listen up. Communication is critical to surviving in the battlefield. Local comms allow you to talk with friendlies within a radius around you. Very useful for on-the-fly comms, inter-vehicle comms, and generally just getting the attention of the man next to you. Also, you're issued a squad radio, which you can use to talk with your entire squad no matter where they are on the field.
So to expand upon that, V for your local chat to talk to people around you, which is what this blue circle is here. B, which is talk to anyone that's in your squad and not anyone around you. And then there's G, which is the command radio for squad leaders to strategize and talk with other people. This is one of the most unique aspects of Squad, and probably my #1 favorite aspects. Another thing we can touch on real quick, because they have a board for it.
Where you can see all your friendly positions, orders from your squad leaders, and reports of the enemy activity.
Okay, let's move on to the tactical map. So there's 3 different ways to access your map. There is the M key. While in the M key, which I use the most often, you can hit N, which will zoom in on your position, and eventually it will zoom out, no matter where you are. This is just good for quick checking what's around you. You can also use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out, which is what I prefer to do. The next way you can access your map is by hitting the tab key. Oops, correction, the caps lock key. From caps lock, you can use chat as you would in a game if you need to, the text chat that is. You can also see all the squads, what's going on in your squads. You can hide it. You have full control over this map, and if you are a squad leader, you can place marks. You can also place marks as an FTL from the screen. where you cannot with you. And lastly, there is the enter, which isn't going to work. Of course it's
The map
not.
is divided up into grids. Each grid is designated by a letter and a number. If you want to be more specific, each grid is further divided into sectors as laid out on a number pad on a standard keyboard.
So, to expand upon that once again, what he's talking about is the grid coordinates. So if we take a look, I don't have a cursor, but if you can just check dead center of the screen, we have in the top it's letters, and going down it's numbers. So that grid square is going to be Bravo 2. So let's just, for example, try to find the second 2 in Alpha 2. So that would be grid square Alpha 2. Going off that, you can just look, if you have a full keyboard, you can just kind of look down at your keyboard, because it would be grid square Alpha 2, and we're trying to find that 2 right there. So that's going to be Alpha 2, roughly, I'd probably say 5, 3-ish. It helps because when you have an actual map, you have the grid squares here. I'm so used to hitting enter if I need to put marks or map around like this. You have these grid squares here, and as you hover over, while you can't see my cursor, you can see that the cursor will highlight what exactly it is. So if you need to say, hey, there's an enemy over at Alpha 257, you can call that out. But just keep in mind that this is a slower way to play. More experienced squad leaders will know what you're talking about, but it does take them a minute. So usually what we do is, let's say we're over here at that helipad right there, right? That's going to be Bravo 2, okay? And we say we're getting shot right there. Let's say we're getting shot right there at that B25. So instead of saying, you know, grid square B253, we would say there's enemies crawling around to the direct east of, and then your point of interest. So our point of interest is going to be a bunker there. This map is a screenshot of the Talil map. So I know exactly where that is. That is a bunker. It doesn't look like it. Those are all bunkers there that hold aircraft. But it's much easier to everyone involved, regardless of skill, to say something. You can also say in local chat, so if you're looking direct north, that's going to be 0, I believe. And going off that, that's direct north. You can also say it's going to be to your northeast. So enemy hostiles northeast, past the wall, which is the. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to forget some stuff, but hopefully this helps out. I don't think we need to go through the weapons. Weapons are weapons. Why not? Let's just go.
This is your standard issue rifle. It may come in different forms and attachment configurations, but it does what any good infantry weapon does best: suppress and kill the enemy. All riflemen and support roles carry this as their primary weapon. The best way for you to shoot is in single shots. Take a moment between each shot and make sure you're still on target.
To expand upon that, yes, this is your standard rifle. Single shot is going to be your most accurate shot. Full auto is not really viable in this game. The recoil is pretty easy to control. And we have full auto. You may not have full auto. Full auto, in my opinion, very easy to control as well. But this is really situational, because a lot of the times you want to save your ammo, and it's just more viable to do single shot. Because if you have the time to take a shot and make a headshot, that's going to be a whole lot quieter than you see a body, you overshoot them. That saves you ammo, saves you time, keeps you a little bit more stealthy. As well as this, generally you want to have an optic. You don't want to be iron sighted. If you are iron sighted with whatever weapon kit you have, and you are a new player and you are watching this video, don't do it. Don't be iron sighted. Next, moving on to the MGs.
Machine gun like this to the field. Flying from a supported position, these weapons are highly effective at suppressing the enemy and can deliver the firepower of a team of riflemen.
So an automatic rifle or machine gun is a force multiplier. It has the ability to turn one person into 5 or 6 people. That meaning the amount of fire going down range. Now, you mentioned suppression. Suppression in this game is a thing. Don't rely on it. Don't expect it to be decent. Don't expect it to be consistent. Because a good player is going to know the exact suppression pattern. It's not going to matter to a good shot. Because this is 5.56, it still takes about 3 rounds, pretty much at any distance to take someone down. But you have a lot more ammo. You can pepper a whole area. You can suppress a point target.
Designated marksman are issued with a high caliber rifle designed to reach out and touch the enemy for further ranges than a standard issue rifle. Slow is smooth is fast. Take your time when it comes to these crucial shots.
Okay. I'm known for not liking marksmen. And that's not because they're not a good role. It's because a lot of new players take them because it's a crutch. It has a bipod, which, by the way, to activate your bipod, you just crouch and hit C. The game's bipod placement is a little rough. Sometimes it won't let you do it for some reason. This is a crotch height table, yet when I crouch and press C, it doesn't put it. But if I stand all the way up, it'll just squat down a little. Marksman rifle. This is a ×6 optic versus a ×4, which is what most people have. It is a larger caliber round for this weapon kit. And it will take about 2 to 3 shots to kill a target at most ranges. Now, this weapon has a better 2-shot kill potential, and that's the only difference. This weapon is, of course, a force multiplier as well, but the difference is that this is more of a suppressed force multiplier, where this weapon, the automatic rifle, makes a lot of noise. This can take out someone with 1 or 2 quieter shots. Now, an MMG or an AR kit can destroy a vehicle because of its volume of fire. This kit cannot. Its usability is a lot less and a lot lower than an MG or an AR kit, which is why I generally dislike it. So your job is only to kill, just like an AR or MMG. However, you have less tactical usability for the squad. Now, there can only be one per, because it's a marksman kit, 1 per team, or I'm sorry, 1 per squad, which means at most you might have 6 of these guys on the field. And it's not viable to use this over the firepower that you could have with an AR kit. Now, people who are very good, and I can expect to get 40, 50 kills a game with this weapon, I'm more than welcome to let them play. However, because it is a crutch for new players, I'm generally seen as the guy who despises it. I don't despise it. I don't not know how to play it. I know exactly what its role is intended for. However, most players don't play that role as intended.
If you run out of ammo on your primary, your sidearm is your next best friend in emergency situations. Pistols are not designed to be effective at longer ranges, so don't try and hit a fly at 100 meters.
So, pistols. This is more of a meme weapon. Their kill potential is not very good. A lot of people have these. It is used as a backup, but in 90% of the cases, you want to reload over switching, contrary to what the game says. So these targets here, I believe, have the health of a standard in-game player, even though they're a flat target and they bleed. So it's me, man, Dev. And you can see there that it took 2 very careful headshots to take that target down. At 20 meters, it looks like. That doesn't seem right. Maybe these don't have a standard health. Let's move over and try that. Well, no. Let's go back to the AR. Just test it out real quick. So yeah, something's definitely wrong here. It should take 3 shots. So I actually disregarded what I just said. I lied to you. Maybe I'll cut that out. Might be lazy, might not. But those don't have the standard. It should be 3 shots to the stomach would kill with the assault rifle, not the auto. Generally, when I say AR, I mean assault rifle, not auto rifleman. I would call that a machine gun, even though there is a kit called machine gun, which is a heavier machine gun, but I call that the MMG kit, or medium machine gun, because it's a higher caliber or a caliber round. Just so you understand my terminology. Not all squad leaders and other players that play the game are like that. So let's jump in. This is something that a lot of people struggle with in terms of player identification. Where do you find them? How do you see them? How do you identify them? Well, this board can actually teach you, which is why I recommend do the tutorial and pay attention. Good information. Your first step in playing a game is figure out who you are, remember that, and figure out who the enemy is. Yes, sometimes you will have a game where it would be blue on blue, or NATO forces versus NATO force, such as Canadian Armed Forces versus U.S. Army. Before, it was a tough call. They used similar helmets. Now you can tell that almost all the Canadian forces have what's called helmet scrim, which is this netting, this flap that goes on the helmet. It makes it easily distinguishable versus something like the U.S. Army. Another confusable one is the Canadian Armed Forces, which are pictured here wearing a dark green, versus the Russians, which will actually go up against quite a bit, which also wear a dark green. But notice they don't have the scrim on the helmet. Another one that messes people up a lot is the irregular militia, which has a pseudo Russian equipped look, versus insurgents, which also has a pseudo cobbled together look. Now, you might be laughing at me, but when I was a new player, believe it or not, this confused me. This one got me. I did not enjoy this one. Another fun one is the Middle Eastern Alliance versus US, because they both use this I'm gonna mess up the acronym, PSAGT helmet. And the US uses it as well, so it has a very distinctive, very much the same helmet shape, because helmet shape is 90% of what you're gonna go off of. The US Marine Corps also uses a PSAGT, but uses a helmet cover, which makes it a little bit more distinguishable. Their camo is actually very dark, and I haven't seen a Marine Corps versus Canadian layer, so I don't think that should be a threat, but the Marine Corps did rip off its green camouflage from the Canadian Army's green camouflage. Okay, let's just roll through that and accept it.
If you look over here on this board, all vehicles have various components that can take damage. If you look over here on this board are some of the heavy tracked vehicles you might encounter. Big freaking monsters like the main battle tank and the infantry fighting vehicle could be your best friend or worst enemy depending on which side you're on. Often they require a lot of anti-tank weaponry to take down.
Yes, that is accurate, and I think I don't want to activate the next voice line so I can explain this one. So this is a nice chart because it's going to show you certain aspects to the game that you, as an AT member or a future AT member, need to learn. Case in point, where the engine is, where the ammo compartment is. So the ammo compartment, when you do enough damage to it, will rack the vehicle, meaning it is on cook-off, all the ammo is about to explode. The people inside may want to get out, or they may just keep fighting because they know they're going to die. But racking is a tactical option. If you have the option, you should always take it, but you need to know where they are. The next option, and a lot easier, is to engine it. If you can track it, which means blowing off the tracks or taking out its engine, engineing it, you can effectively disable it. For some vehicles, the vehicle can still kind of crawl if it's engine, which makes no sense, but it cannot move if a tracked vehicle has no tracks. So racks and tracks is what you go for. Now, the helicopter, something that's not mentioned here, it just shows the engine, but the main point that you want to shoot at a helicopter, if you have the shot, is the tail rotor. You can shoot it with small arms, you can shoot it with 50 cal, you can shoot it with a rocket. It is very weak, and if it's above, I think, like 50 meters and goes down, it will crash and die, which is excellent. You'll also notice that some of these vehicles here on this identification chart don't have an ammo compartment, and that's an interesting thing to note.
If you look over here, you may encounter some of these wheeled vehicles. Often they're used for troop transport, but also can put down a decent amount of firepower downrange. I highly recommend you do not use these as frontline units or you're likely to get your butt shot off. But honestly, I wouldn't feel too bad about that.
He would not feel too bad about it indeed. So key points here, pretty much anything with wheels doesn't have an ammo rack except for the Canadian Lav 6 with a 25mm on it. Make note of that. That's a very special aspect to that vehicle. You got to keep it very protected. As far as everything else, the T-Lab, the FV-107, that also doesn't have an ammo rack. They're a little bit lighter. The FV-107 has very light health. It's comparable to a Canadian TAP B. And then pause the video if you want to see the descriptions for what each of these vehicles are and do. But that's not what this is about. We're still on the tutorial, so we'll just talk about.
Here are some of the light vehicles that you might encounter. Often they're the logistics trucks meant to carry supplies, or civilian vehicles adapted for use on the battlefield.
Yes, so we have variations of the trucks. So each truck has a transport variant, meaning it does not have supplies in the back. You can check my other video on the difference between a transport logistics, or Logi as people say for short. And this is where you would hit them if you want to hit their engine, which again, an engine disable is good, but with these vehicles, they are non-military variants, which means the tires can be shot out quite easy, but just because it has no tires does not mean it cannot move. And I proved that time and time again. It is still viable to just drive the vehicle with no tires, get it to a safe place, and then put tires on if it keeps it safe. Moving back over here real quick, almost everything on here except for the Samir and I think the Love W have military tires, meaning they're not easily shot out. So just keep that in mind in terms. This right here is a excellent 3D model in which I'll expand upon now. Awesome. So here we are in Jensen's range, which we'll move on to later in the video, but I want to kind of I want to put this piece right in here because this is where it kind of fits. This is an excellent yet outdated chart for armor and penetration and all things armor, and you can actually get a 3D look at specific things, where certain components are, where armor is, how it's going to react, and we have an armor chart here. Now this isn't the best. A lot of people will say it's bad, which I do agree, but it is a good start for understanding the game. Generally, this is a Mat V, and the engine block is in the front. It is mediumly armored, meaning it can resist everything from 7.62 and below. 50 cal should penetrate it for the most part in the weak points, and you'll also notice it doesn't show the windows. 50 cals can go through the windows and kill the people inside. You'll notice that the heavier armor vehicles are totally armored. You can see that the Abrams cheeks are pretty well armored, as you would expect. And you can also see certain things like ammo rack. So for the FV510, you can see that the ammo rack is around the turret bustle underneath. You can see for the Abrams, the ammo rack is not... I believe that's secondary ammo stowage down there. So like I said, that's not exactly accurate. The ammo rack on the Abrams is in the back where there is blowout panels. It's an Abrams, guys. It's not rocket science. BTR 80, BTR 82 engine in the back. Infantry dismounts to the sides. Just something to point out. Once again, this is in Jensen's range, and you guys will see this. You'll see how to get to this and use this as a quick reference guide for all my heavy anti-tanks and light amp. So back to the main video. Moving on to the explosives.
Hand grenades are incredibly dangerous and should be treated with respect. However, they are a great means of clearing out a room or a group of enemies. All rolls are issued with these, either in the fragmentation or smoke variety for concealment.
So grenades, to expand upon that, of course, there's two ways to throw a grenade. There is overhand. There is grab, pull pin, aim, and throw. And then there is your right click. Grab pin, aim low, and throw. Whoops. Canceled it there. And you'll throw it underhand. You'll notice it doesn't go as far or bounce or have that much aggression. This is perfect for rolling something undercover. But this can be used in tactical ways where, let's say that's an L-shaped building there, an L-shaped piece of cover. I can easily aggressively bounce it off the wall to get it where I want it to go at my face. Planned. That was planned. The optimal distance is 45 degrees for throwing a grenade, and I don't know if I can get it here. 45 degrees-ish. And you can throw it about 50 meters. That seemed a little far. It's like 50 to 40 if you check the map. Usually you can say it's about 1.5 grid squares, which is about 40 or 50. That's 45 exactly.
Grenadiers in your squad carry a grenade launcher slung under their primary weapon. These fire 40mm grenades and are highly effective against infantry in the open and light vehicles. Just remember the grenades need a few meters arm, so you can't fire these at point blank range.
So the Grenadier class, in my opinion, is my favorite class to play besides Squad Leader. Its utility is amazing. Not only can you clear out a room with this, you can launch instant explodable explosives. You can kill groups of disembarking infantry from an armored vehicle, as well as, which it does not give me the option, you also have a smoke variant of this, which is perfect for obscuring the view of, say, an armored vehicle or a window, or smoking a road. It's the most, in my opinion, probably the third most utilitarian kit in the game, and it's just so fun to use every single time. There is an arming distance to it, and something to note is that the American and British grenade launcher grenades are not fragmentation, they are high explosive dual purpose, which is a fragmentation and I believe it's a high explosive mix, like fragmentation, high explosive. What that means is using these against light vehicles, light skinned vehicles, such as a Logi, can do a little bit of damage. So if you see a vehicle that is maybe on fire, there is a chance that you could hit it and kill it with a grenade, which would be pretty funny, and I would definitely clip that if I were you. But just something to note, it's not very viable to use these against vehicles. I wouldn't even waste the shots. It does a little bit of damage. It's usually not worth it in most situations. So do not use the grenade launcher grenades against any armored vehicle. Armored vehicle is going to be an armored Humvee or any sort of tank or APC, but use them against light skinned vehicles such as open vehicles such as the skeletonized Humvee or a Logi of some sort or a motorbike is perfectly acceptable and okay to use.
Anti-tank rolls are issued with rocket launchers that, depending on their yield, can damage and destroy enemy vehicles. The rockets need a bit of distance to arm, so avoid firing these at close range. The launcher also fires a deadly backblast, so make sure your rear is clear before firing.
So to expand upon that, yes, these weapons do have backblast, meaning you will injure and possibly kill anyone that walks behind you as you fire the weapon. So when you're playing a game of squad, you generally want to say backblast clear, and generally you'll hear someone who's behind you say backblast clear. This isn't always the case. Most people don't know this little thing, but it's the mannerisms of playing the kit. You don't want to hurt the people around you. You want to be an effective AT. As well as that, every AT launcher has an arming distance, which means that if you bounce it off a wall, it's going to make that noise and people are going to laugh at you. If you point blank a armored vehicle and we hear that noise, we're going to laugh at you. So you need to make sure you have distance for it. Over time, you'll understand what that distance is, and each rocket launcher is different in terms of its distance, so make note of it. Also make note of the warhead that is in the weapon. So the laws are a high explosive anti-tank, meaning that they have a shape charge to penetrate. With a good shot, you can penetrate the crew compartment of a light armored vehicle, such as a gun truck, and kill, say, the gunner or the driver, or you could just aim for the engine and take out the engine. It's all up to you. AT is highly versatile, and they're very important to have, or to play right, I should say.
Before you move out, you need to pick up your rolls kit. Typically, you will automatically deploy into the battle with your loadout already equipped, but you can also change it while in the field from ammo crates such as these, or from vehicles if they have enough ammo on board.
So, that's correct. These are ammo crates, as I've described before, and in an ammo crate, you have generally a variety of kits to pick and play as. We're going to go ahead and pick the scoped rifleman here, because we get an ACOG, a 4X optic, which is generally how you're going to see and play the game. Now, when you're in an actual live game, there will be a multitude of kits and options. Now, one thing I did want to hit on is that the announcer said that you can change kits off vehicles. Generally, with very few exceptions, if it is a tracked or wheeled APC or IFV, I call it a command vehicle, meaning that you can change to any kit you want. Now, don't take that out of context. You cannot call in command assets off the vehicle unless you're a specific faction, but with that in mind, you're allowed to change to whatever kit you need for that battle. It's very versatile, it's very nice to have, and it's why mechanized in this game is one of my favorite things to do. I can, for example, if the space is open, switch over to an AT while I'm the driver, hop out, shoot a rocket while my gunner is engaging that target, and increase the damage to that target, potentially win the fight. Another option that you'll usually see me do while I'm streaming is I will be squad leader as a driver of that vehicle. I'll change over to regular crewman, or I'll change over to regular squad leader. I'll ask my gunner to jump out, and I'll place a rally with one person, which is a very effective and effective way to play. So mechanized, very allowable in this game. Some people might disagree, and those people are wrong. They're wrong. Okay, they're wrong.
Before you move out, you need to pick up your Rolf kit. Typically, you will automatically deploy into the battle with your loadout already equipped, but you can also change it while in the field from ammo crates. Soldier, stop one for over there and have ammo on board. Your squad needs a new hab at their fob, and they don't have enough supplies. Load up the freaking truck with construction ammo supplies now.
This is the M939 logistics truck, aka freaking truck. So the way that you load up logistics supplies, you can be inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle. All you do is you go ahead and hold your F key like it indicates. You move down to these 4 here, and we want to load. So they're asking us to load 800 of each. So that's 8 and 8. I don't know why you wouldn't max it out, but that is what we are requested to do, is 8 and 8. Now, just key point here a little bit about my own experiences. 90% of the time, you will never have a half load like that. That is silly. And when the game starts, these lodges will be loaded with what's called half and half, which is half build, half ammo, which is what you see now on screen at the top. It can hold a maximum of 300, of course, and that's not very good. 300, half and half isn't really good for the game. So there's generally 2 options that your squad leader is going to want to do. It's called 18 ammo rest build is how I would phrase it, or there's 18 build rest ammo, which I generally like to do. What this allows you to do is create 3 fobs with habs and ammo, or it allows you to create 2 fobs with a repair station and ammo for those 2 fobs. And that's a very versatile way to play the game. But ask your squad leader what he wants, and if he ever tells you full ammo, bring 600 build with you, because tactically bringing those build supplies to the front, assuming you live and get to where he wants you, is going to be a huge asset and a huge help. So to get into the vehicle, we just hold F, let the circle go. Now, one thing that I want to note here is that you can change seats without getting out. All you do is you press the F key. So this is F2, middle seat, also called the pitch seat because you're in the middle. That's weird. F3, this is the, well, passenger seat. You got the F4s. Of course, this is the suicide seat. You stand up, you get shot. Then you have the F5, F6, F7, and it goes on. Every vehicle holds different amounts of players, and those seats do different things. So for example, the F2 seat in any of those vehicles over there, that striker or the MRAP, is going to put you in the gunner's position. Now, with an armored vehicle like this, you must be a crewman to be a gunner or a driver. And that's true for every armored vehicle. Now, that's a light armored vehicle. The MRAP is light armored. You do not need to be a crewman to be those. Also note that with non-command vehicles, remember, command vehicles are vehicles you can change to any kit. You can only change to crewman or lead crewman. So for example, if I try to change my kit, you can see up at the top, I have the ability to rearm off the vehicle. I also have crewman kits, which they're not popping up, but it would be lead crewman and crewman. And of course, if you're not squad leader, you cannot take lead crewman. So just keep that in mind. You always have the ability, assuming there's ammo in it, to switch over to crewman, grab a repair kit, and repair the vehicle. Now pressing shift will lock your gear. I'm gonna go ahead and be in first gear. I'm gonna hold shift, and you're gonna see how I redline and I do not change gears. What is this good for? In my opinion, absolutely nothing. If I'm wrong, tell me down below, please, because I have never found a use for it. It does not speed you up. It does not make you go faster. Now, let's say we're at the fob here. We can tell this is a fob because we have these blue circles here. That means I am within a radius of another fob. Generally, in a normal game of squad, you cannot place a radio within this circle. And I actually can't adjust the map to have you see it, but let's, well, yes. So this circle right here that you see the numbers kind of floating on, that would block out that radio from being placed. So a perfect example is this hab, and we have this one over here. So you see how it's outside that circle. This one, that circles. This one, that circles. It is outside. That's a normal way to place it. This is just placed like this for whatever. So we got to where our squad leader said we want to go. He wants supplies. We're gonna go ahead and unload that ammo. Just hold F, and then all you do is click and hold for whatever you want to do. Now we can see at the top right here, we can see the health of the radio. If it's active, which it wouldn't be blue, we can also see that the spawn is inactive, meaning that the hab or the team-wide spawn point is down. And we can also see the ammo and build on the point. So we'll jump out, we did our request. We're gonna be a good little squad mate. We're gonna pull out our E-tool.
Amazed you possibly made it here. I guess there isn't just empty space in that grave of yours. Now get the supplies off the freaking truck now. Let's go.
No empty space, sir. So this is a hab. We pulled out our entrenching tool where you can either press 6, I believe it's a 6 twice to pull it out if you're a rifleman, but generally it's gonna go 6. And I can't get it. Let me see if I can get it out of the way. I was trying to get the tutorial all the way to show you something. I don't think it's gonna work. And that's an ammo bag. That's what that is. Well, the tutorial won't get out of the way, so I'll have to try to remember to explain it after. But we hit 6 and we're shoveling. We're building it up, and the shovel is going up, which is also left click. Right click is going to destroy it or dig it down. And that's the phrase you should do. Build it up or dig it down. And this helps new players and players around you realize that if the shovel is not going up and it's not being built up, it is not being built, period. If you're destroying it or digging it down, this is the shovel going down, it is destroying. So while yes, I understand when I say dig it up, that sounds like you are going to dig it up and destroy it. However, the terminology here is different.
All right.
Not to
good work there, warrior.
Normal specs.
Hopefully this will hold up better than that last one. We set up a mock scenario where you will need to execute the technique of fire maneuver to advance on the enemy. Suppress the enemy machine gun positions and use the lull in their fire to advance.
So excellent. We're taking a little fire. Things are going to be a little loud. Okay. First thing we want to do is get away from the hab. We don't want to be anywhere near the hab. So let's just go over here. I don't know if this tow is active. Let's assume it is. I'm going to stay low and prone. It's dangerous to do that. It is not reloaded. I would not do this during the game, and I would not do this in an actual game. Each of these shots cost 500 ammo per. But this is the way that I want to do my tutorial. I'm going to find my target. Found them. I'm holding, click, launch. Okay. Noted. I'm gonna get on our guys. We're gonna make sure everyone has ammo. I don't have my ammo pack to drop it. We're sprinting between targets. Sometimes being scared is understandable, but it's not what you want to do. You really need to push and fire and maneuver, because even doing something as this, as crossing, is going to draw fire off that corner. So you want to make sure you're always having them guess We have a machine gun bunker. We're gonna smoke that out. We're gonna peek up here real quick. Just do a little hop. Looks like another machine gun bunker. We're gonna smoke that out so they can't see. Another tip, smoke is an offensive weapon. You use this against enemies. You don't smoke yourselves, because that just draws attention to that area, as well as obscures your own view. So we're taking fire up there. We already see him, got one hit.
I don't have freaking time to stay here and remind you you're being shot at. Let's go.
Fragging over. Nope, frag don't do nothing to him.
Keep it up. Remember, fire and maneuver. Fire and maneuver. Get some leg down range and give them a ring. Once you get closer to the target building, you'll see another squad dressed up as the enemy. They will open fire if they see you. So make sure you take them down before they smoke your ass.
We use Q and E tactfully. Sometimes you gotta get a little peek. Gotta see where they are. Always want to have a fresh mag, especially when you're going into close quarters. So this is not the squad leader variant. We're on 3-round burst. 3-round burst is somewhat effective.
All right, get to that freaking door.
But in my opinion,
you got a grenade,
not
it
very
would behoove you to
viable.
use it now.
We're gonna rearm before we go in. We're going to bang up. Actually, let's bang down, because the ammo box is right here. Let's get another one. I didn't hear any impacts on enemy targets, meaning I don't think I fragged anyone. We Kobe that one in. Now this is a wood structure, so I know I can shoot through it. You cannot dead the enemy. You cannot shoot them in the head while they are down. That is not a tactic. That does not work. We're gonna peek. We're gonna watch our corners.
Clear the building all the way to the roof. Make sure you get every last one of them. Good work clearing that building, soldier. One of your jobs on the battlefield.
So you can see how hip fire is relatively accurate and usable. Now, if you have a full auto weapon, it is still very usable. It will be a nice little cone. Semi-auto is the same way, but somewhat less effective. ADSing does take a minute, but you have a lot more recoil control as you fire the weapon. So it's all about how you want to play the game. But pushing, firing, maneuvering, that's what you want to do.
Freaking-tastic. Now let's get to the good stuff. Our last exercise here is to destroy the enemy's fob radio, located behind the target building. Go up to it and destroy it with the provided engineer C4 charge.
So this is a enemy radio. I'm an American. I know that is a Russian look to the enemy radio. We have a C4 charge. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this radio can generally just be dug down. You can destroy it with 50 cal fire or 7.62 fire, if you will, 30 mil fire, tank fire. You can kill it with anything except small arms fire. You can also bomb it. But keep in mind that whenever you place these explosive devices, not only does it damage people in the area and go through the walls, but you're also wasting the ammo that it took to place it. Now, there is no remote detonated charges except for IEDs. So all of these C4 chargers or demo charges are going to be time activated. Generally, it's 30 seconds. The C4 does do quite a bit of damage, or the time charges do quite a bit of damage. They can be placed on vehicles. Not very effective for vehicles, but it's doable. And generally, placing a bomb...
Taking down the enemy fob, one of their primary means of reinforcement. There are alternative means of taking down enemy fobs such as shovels, but explosives tend to be the most effective. Thinking about boots like you in charge of C4 is what keeps me up at night, but you somehow manage not to blow yourself up. Well, that's good, I guess. This concludes your infantry pre-deployment training. There are so many aspects of the battlefield that only experience can teach you. So learn from your buddies and trust your squad leaders. If you need more practice on a particular weapon system or vehicle, the Jensen's range facility is available at any time. Good luck out there, soldier.
So keep in mind with that last part, what I wanted to say, I didn't know it just ended it straight away, but keep in mind that when you take down an enemy radio, it's going to spark and bleed. That is a, well, it's sparking, and we call it bleeding, or a bleed out timer, which effectively means that it is bleeding out, and after you destroy it, it will be 60 seconds. I believe it's 60 seconds until it completely goes away. So me as a squad leader, I'll fixate and say, hey, someone watch that radio, let me know when it goes away. That ensures that it does for sure go away and eat the enemy of 20 tickets. Now this is version 3, it's currently 20 tickets. We're not sure if it's going to get changed. I think it's perfectly fine the way it is, but that is okay. So going back into the training at the top, we're now going to go into, let's just jump into this one here. So this is Jensen's Range. This is a big sandbox for you to try out everything. This is the OG tutorial. This is the only thing that we had to use to teach new players back in the day. You'll see that there's a few different spawn points. We have every vehicle we could want. We have every kit we could want. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's do specialist role. Let's do machine, just because big gun is fun. Now, let's see. No, actually, change plans. Let's go ahead and just do scope rifleman squad roles. We have 3 riflemen here. Pick this one. Now, the reason why I say this is because I wanted to explain to you that if you hit 6, it's going to pull out your shovel. If you hit 6 again, it's going to pull out your ammo bag. So you hitting that twice is what pulls that up. Or you can just use the mouse wheel like I do. Yes, I am a mouse wheel player. That is how I've been playing. That's how I like to play. Is it efficient? No, it is not. It's how I like to play the game. Now, as with this part, we have a multitude of vehicles for us to try out. You can jump in any one of these. You don't have to be a crewman because this is training. Just as an example, we'll jump in, start the vehicle, and we can move around and drive. You do not have to be that faction to drive that vehicle. I'll jump in this beautiful BMP one here. Once again, F2, just like we learned, we'll change our kits. Ah, yes. It's not going to let me fire it off the start. Okay. There is also a mini kill house that we could run into, and this is actually why I was switching to the MG, but I decided I did not want to do that. The unfortunate thing with the kill house here is that one bullet will kill whichever enemies, and it does kind of get bugged. So if you got more ammo, you can make it through without it. Nice. As well as the kill house, we also have our helicopters are over there for test flying. We also have all of these weapon systems that we can jump on, shoot, so you can experience what these weapons have. I highly recommend you guys check this out just so you understand how each of these weapon systems work, their ins and outs. You don't have to spend too much time, but at least have an idea so you're not clueless when you jump in. Tow is wire guided, of course. So it will fire. Well, that was actually the Hornet, so I believe that one is laser tracked. I could be wrong there. I know the tow is wire guided. Marksmanship principles. Okay. Practice your shots, whichever you want to do. It's a great learning tool, or back in the day it was, but it really didn't cover some of the basics. And even then, this isn't going to cover everything you need to know to play squad. There's so much more to playing this game than you guys can possibly understand if you're actually watching the video. So just do your best to learn, listen to your squad leader, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Check out my stream, ask questions in the comments below, or find someone who knows what they're talking about. Sounds like they know what they're talking about. Just ask them. Squad's a great game. I think you guys will love it once you get into it. And once again, guys, I'm Winter Sin. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, or not. It's cool. Thanks for watching. Take care. I want you guys to have a good rest of your day. Cam, do you want to get out and like play the game, man? You're more than welcome to.
I'm just not sure what to do.
Oh, no worries, man. This is kind of the perfect squad.
Okay.
So we need to kill the enemy, right? So if you switch over to full auto by hitting middle mouse, go ahead by that tree by 224. And then hold F to dismount. You can find the enemy, kill him, and hopefully we'll recover this point. Well, okay.